Today is July 17th and it's finally a nice day for a garden tour. It seemed like every day this summer has either been 90 degrees and or raining. Over in this corner bed we have these rose ferns spread out a bit so that this little bridal veil spirea can get some better sunlight. We're going to trim the rose ferns back after they are done blooming so that this sweet little darling can get better light. But it did bloom this spring though, and that was lovely. Even the lavender in the corner is getting kind of crowded out a bit. Our maple tree here that got attacked by a fungus last year is mostly dead, but surprisingly growing a nice lovely new branch. You can see that the leaves don't have any signs of the fungus growing on them, so that's a great sign. And let's see if I can zoom in on it. This leaf right here is like 4 or 5 times larger than your average maple leaf. It is so huge. She's trying so hard to be alive. On a young tree, these little suckers at the bottom would be a bad thing, but because she has a fully mature root system and none of her usual leaves, they might be helping her the same way that baby trees will share water with old stumps from their root system and give them the sugar back in exchange. This spring, back in March, I gave the ground a really good soaking with really concentrated neem oil. Like, I bought a new bottle of it and then used that whole bottle plus what we had left over from last year mixed into 5-gallon pails and just soaked a whole ring around the tree, and I think that did the trick in terms of killing the fungus. So the vegetable garden, we doubled in size from where it was last year. And then we have 2 different varieties of corn. This one here has a shorter germination time, so it should produce its corn before the variety down here. Except that this variety already has its tassels. Like, it's not... Oh my gosh, we actually have corn already. Yeah. It's like the packages lied. The raspberries are doing wonderfully. Apparently this variety could actually grow to be 6 feet tall. And we got onions and green beans and a whole bunch of potatoes. And then some cucumbers, and then some marigolds to help keep the insects away. And then the other corn, and some peas. And here we have some cantaloupe or some muskmelon that didn't do as well as we hoped. We had like 3 other hills that didn't really grow in, but this particular plant's doing okay, and you can see it already has some flowers. Over in this bed here, Mom planted some new hollyhocks this year. When these ones are growing in pretty nicely. And then we've got more of the marigolds. And then a peony. Some more lavender. Actually, no. This over here is the lavender, and this is the sage. They are getting a bit crowded out by this mint. We might want to clear that out of this space for them. And over here we have my wildflower bed. And we've got the sunflower blooming that I transplanted this spring. There is still more grass growing in here that I'm happy with, but it's better than it was last year. And we do have lots of little flowers of various varieties. Here's a baby tree I gotta get out. I thought I had dug the roots out of everything good, but apparently not good enough. This thing, I'm not quite sure what it is. The flowers on it are really little, but if they make some type of berry, I guess it can stay. We got more different varieties over here. I transplanted some catnip from my sister's house so that Ginger Snap can get fresh catnip every time. I haven't harvested any yet for her, but it'll be better available next year. I want to let it settle in good. This here is amaranth, and it is an edible grain. It's a pain in the butt to harvest, but there's a reason why it's really expensive if you buy it in the store. I'm not quite sure what these pink things are, but they are particularly pretty. These California poppies here are sadly only an annual here in Wisconsin. I learned recently that these little purple bellflowers are sadly an invasive species here in Wisconsin. And if you look at the leaf types, you can see it has dominated this bed to an extent. But the daylilies and the hostas are still doing plenty fine there. And because the area around the bed stays mowed, it doesn't creep out any further. Like this, it does produce seeds, but they don't scatter super far from the parent plant. So like in a little bed like this, as long as you're not crowding out the other plants you want there, it's okay to keep, but you wouldn't want to let it live in a space you're trying to reclaim as prairie or in like a woods or other more wild space. This plant here is pokeweed, and it produces berries that are poisonous to humans but are good eating for birds. These are what the fruits look like on the Siberian crab apple, and I want to show you how they match the mystery tree from the spring tour. There you go. Now you can see the little fruits on the mystery tree and how well they matched. Which means this thing here was clearly seeded by birds who ate the fruits probably 2-3 years ago. The clover in the backyard grows in much more lushly than in the front and side yards. Possibly because Dad waited longer in the spring to mow back here than he did the spaces the neighbors can see better. But this is very good food for the bees and very low maintenance. You don't have to spread special seeds or anything. You just have to stop spreading herbicides on your lawns. I hope that inspired you to see how much you can grow for produce, wildflowers, and cultivated flowers, all within a fairly small yard space. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.